Excused. Tim O'Connor, excused. Laney Ruska. Here. Kelly Greavy.
Here.
Karen Mao.
Here.
And Liz Lasky.
Bob's here.
Present. And Bob's here, good, okay. Bob Brooks, here. Good, on a bad night. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
And I will second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Approval of the minutes, did everybody print out and get the minutes?
I read them. I got them.
Yeah, I read them too.
When did you send them? Or when did some of them?
I didn't see them.
See them?
You didn't see it?
It looked this afternoon. And
Okay, I don't know when she sent it. Read them real quick.
I have a copy of the minutes.
Do you?
Do you want one? Yeah, I just,
Is there a motion to accept the minutes, or do you want another?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Is there a second to the approving?
I'll
the
second.
minutes? Thank you.
I thought you
Favor?
seconded when
I thought I heard you say second, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. The next item is citizens and public input.
This is our friend here with his automobile.
Yes, thank you.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Wygant. I'm a representative for Ludington Hobbies. I was asked to come and speak on the possibility of an RC track being implemented in the city of Manistee. I believe it's at Morton Park is where we had talked about. The RC hobby right now is blowing up as fast as I've seen it in almost 30 years. The Ludington and Manistee hobbies combined ran very successfully the last few years, and it's just continuing to grow. There's multiple different disciplines of RCing that would be a possibility that we could do up here. I have not seen the actual location because I was basically waiting to come and talk and see how far this went. I would be willing to help get this through and set up how the courses are laid out and whatnot, and I would be able to commit for the next 2 years to making sure that the program got up and running before I would turn it over and allow somebody else to take over the possibility of running this. Is there any questions you guys have on the RCs or RC hobby?
What would you estimate the cost to be to set up the, it's just a field is what we've got there right now?
I've seen courses be set up for as little as the use of somebody's front end loader or bobcat, and I've seen courses that they bring in topsoil, clay, all that, and you could see up to $10,000–$15,000 on those courses. So depending on how elaborate you want to get, the price is obviously going to change.
Okay.
To get a course, I just did a off-road course, and we used somebody's front end loader that was willing to help us out, and cost of that was about $100 for fuel to set the entire thing.
Yeah.
How big of a space do you need?
This is one of the larger ones that's on the market. Most everything, and I would suggest a tent scale. Tent scale, you'd want to be somewhere between about 15 and 20 foot wide. If you make it any less than about 50 foot, it just becomes, you're driving in a circle. And if you want to make it an off-road course, probably 45 by 50 would actually be a good off-road course. So I heard that there was a concern with parking down there. The nice thing is most of us that do this, we carpool, so you'll get 5–6 people in one vehicle, because we go all over the place and do this, so we're kind of little clubs within ourselves.
So it's like a group activity, it's more than a...
Yes, you can go out and practice, whatnot. I do a lot of the promotion. This year we did Blood, Sweat, and Gears in Mason County, where we rented the Ludington Fairgrounds for 3 days. I think I had approximately 450 entries over the 3 days. It was 9 different disciplines, and most everybody stayed right there. So the fairgrounds came out ahead because they were getting the money for not only us renting it, but all the camping that was done at the fairgrounds. So there is money in it. There's really nothing from Traverse City to Twisted Sticks and Ludington just decided to pull out. That is the Consumers Power RC park they had there. They didn't have enough interest in people who were willing to take over and actually start the course. I was the manager here at the Manistee store before we decided to consolidate back into one business. A lot of the people that are up here are my customers. So I want to see this take off and succeed.
Where did you say there was one that we could take a look at that's already finished?
Your closest one for you guys would be in Hamlin, and that is a clay oval owned by Ray Comstock, and that's High Banks RC Park. Next to that would probably Fremont before you would actually get into a off-road, or Muskegon at the wastewater treatment facility.
How much do those cards run? Or the,
Cars can start anywhere from $60. The one I have sitting here is $695.95 right now. And then you'd have all your upgrades, and it's like any other car. You don't start with a car and take it out to the racetrack and expect to win. You're going to upgrade. So there's a lot of money into this stuff, which makes it so that we're very serious about it, and we're serious about keeping the track in good shape, because if the track gets in not very usable condition, we break our vehicles. So as far as people going out there and tearing up the tracks, we don't want that, because that ends up making it so that we break parts on our vehicles when we go out to play, because we're racing a lot faster than the average person who's going to come out and be willing to tear up you guys' track.
What is the target market?
Target market, I've literally sold cars to 7-year-olds all the way up to probably 87-year-olds in the last year. There's really no target market, and with COVID kicking off, people realize the importance of being able to go out and spend time with family, and our demographic has opened up considerably, and our customer base, there's literally, I left my store in Ludington to come up here to talk tonight, and we had 8 people racing inside the store when I left. And that's just a little indoor track that we play with cars that are $160 for those ones. A couple jumps, it was all actual scrap plywood and stuff. We put it all together, and it's been open, and people are loving it.
how many people do you think you have in Manistee, or have? Yeah, how many? About
And we opened in October of last year. We closed towards the beginning of October of this year. So in 1 year, I had a 4-person staff, and we didn't starve to death. As far as how many people are actually physically in Manistee, I would have no way of knowing that.
Yeah.
But I know that I had about $125,000 worth of merchandise sitting on the shelf, and the boss wasn't upset when we closed because we needed to get back into one building. There is a lot of customers. I would say on an average day, I seen 80 to probably 150 people. Sleigh Bell Parade, I actually had all of Ludington's staff in the Manistee store so that I actually had enough people, and we couldn't move. It was getting to the point where I was like, if you're not buying, you guys need to head out, because if the fire department comes in and sees this right now, we're probably going to get in trouble. So
You said you'd be interested in running it for a couple of years, but and then hand it over, but what's involved in running an RC track?
running it would be basically, I would be setting the track up, explaining how the timing systems work, depending on what kind of track you want. If you want a circle track, you need a timing system. If you want an off-road, you can actually have people who just count laps. If you want to have a competition crawler course. But after 2 years, the course would be built and established. Whoever's going to take over at that point would know the rules. A lot of this is the rules of what you're allowed to run, what you're not allowed to run, what a novice class is, a beginner, an advanced, intermediates. So a lot of it's just passing on the knowledge to make this actually go where we have a set of rules.
Most people, what type of racing cars do they have? For off-road or for
I
going
ran,
in circles? Or I mean, what do you think? Let's say we can only have one track. What would be the kind of track we should be interested in?
probably an off-road track,
Okay.
but a lot of the stuff is, scale quarter mile is 132 feet. So you could do a scale quarter mile sand drag, which I actually ran down at First Street Beach almost all summer long. We ran the drag races right at the beach. We put up snow fence on both sides and just had it. And I averaged anywhere between probably 15 and during the 4th of July, when it was part of everything that was going on, I probably had 180-ish entries into that. So yes, there is a huge, huge fan base in this area for these cars.
Mickey, do you have any questions? Mickey's our parks person. I just wondered if you had any.
I
Right.
don't just personally, not from parks. Sounds like what you have is a revenue generating thing.
It can absolutely be a revenue
Yeah, but
generator,
and our
yes.
parks are all first come, first serve. You know, if somebody, kid wants to come from high school and run the track, is that going to be available for him?
Yes.
Or does there need to be somebody there to control the track? Yeah, this is just my personal
Yeah.
question. I'm not the one that makes the decisions, but yeah, that was just something that I'm mulling around.
This would not be something that would
Yeah.
require a full-time staff to
Yeah.
control. If you're gonna have a weekly competition,
Per se,
well,
yeah.
yeah, let's say the next 2 years, I decide on Saturday at noon, we're all gonna go out and race. I would then show up at like 10 o'clock, make sure the track was ready, that nothing had been damaged on the track. Gives me 2 hours to rake dirt back, whatever needs to be done. But as far as having to have somebody physically there, they're not gonna hurt anything. It's the
No.
worst case scenario, you take a shovel and a rake and you put it back where it belongs. But when you start getting people who are interested in doing this, your regulars,
Yeah.
they're gonna monitor your track
Yeah,
real
for
quick.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't wanna break, a set of
I
A-arms on
understand,
this
yeah.
is like $50 if I break a set
So
of
I
A-arms.
guess where I was going, it's not a revenue generating system, it's a facility for these people to bring their cars to run them, right? There's no charge or anything like that, right?
There would not be a
Or
charge.
league or a race or anything like that.
The thing is if you make it into something where you're actually charging money, then you open yourself up to a liability
Well,
thing.
that- yeah,
Your
yeah, so
attorney's
that-
not here
that-
today, so
yeah.
he would be able to, but as it sits right now, it's kind of like your skate park.
Yeah,
Whereas if you get hurt, you're not paying to be at the skate park,
yeah.
so you're on your
No,
own.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was just my question, yeah,
Yep.
that's.
Absolutely.
Because I'm part of the non-motorized, so you do the same with the skate park and fat bike out towards, you know, so. Yeah.
You would actually probably know better on the liability wise, but you don't really want to charge unless it's fully staffed, because
Yeah.
if you do, you open yourself up to, well, I paid to be here and I got injured.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was my question, I just didn't, I don't want to be elitist, I know no one can run this track, you know. So it's, because all our parks are for everybody, I guess, and so, no, that's cool.
No, this is
I'll
open
give
to
you
the
my phone
public.
number for the night that's what too.
Okay,
And
yeah,
having on a roll in town, we can drive around.
absolutely. But yeah, no, you do not have to make this a profitable thing. Most of the time, if you put a can out and just say, hey, we're accepting donations to improve the track, a lot of us, when we show up, will drop money in there because we want the track to stay. We want to keep it running. So it's not something where every time I come out, it's going to cost me $5, because a lot of the guys that came into that store were our high school kids. They get out of high school or junior high and they go over to the skate park and play. They break their cars because they're going off the jumps, and then they come in and have me put their cars back together. So we're already getting together a lot of RC events, but RC is kind of one of those things that stays in the shade most of the time. The sand drags that I ran all year long, nobody even really knew. I think the police department came down the second to last time I ran it because we had a guy down there with a nitro car, and people were upset that there was a loud vehicle down there. Well, he wasn't supposed to be down there. He wasn't even part of our group. I did the crawls all through Manistee all the time. We did a Friday night crawl where we all took our crawlers out and we went up and down the river, and there's probably still a track behind the West Shore Community College building, the community building over there, all that white cobblestone. just get back there and we're laughing and carrying on. People walking by, you guys are insane. Them are expensive toys and you're tumbling them down the rocks. Well, they're built for that. It's what we build them for. So,
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one question for Mick. Assuming the council decides that it's a worthwhile endeavor and it does going to cost a lot of money, would we get volunteer support from the Parks Department to come and with a front loader and move dirt around for us?
I'll ask Jeff. I will let you know that we do have a stockpile of road clay down at our compost, so the materials, and I mean, not speaking for the city, but I mean, we have done stuff like, like bring that clay in and stuff like that. I mean, that's an hour's work. I mean, that's no big deal, really, you know what I'm saying? I just, one point, when you describe, if you don't mind, if you describe the size of your course, people like to do it in the realm of like football field size, because that's a familiar size to everybody. Right? So if you would like, so from the goal line to the 20-yard line then, kind of on average?
35-yard line,
okay, yeah.
sideline to sideline,
Yeah.
would be a very nice sized track.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will throw a spanner in your works, maybe, but beneficial for you. There's also a lot of interest in a one design radio controlled sailboat races that we could have on Manistee Lake.
Okay.
Just
Sailboats are hard to get if you
well,
already have one.
Something down the road.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that would be interested. We have a beautiful place, Manistee Lake, which is on the north side. It's been completely surrounded, you know, by dunes. It's a beautiful little area. But I know a lot of people would be interested in a RC sailboat, one design. Everybody has the same boat
Correct.
and sail course, you know,
Okay.
on Manistee Lake. Because if it falls over, it's going to wash up on one side or another. But you know, it would be I think Manistee Lake would be the perfect area for something like that.
But you know your area a lot better. What I would be bringing to that is the rule sets that you would have to have, and I don't know anybody with a sailboat, so I would be an independent judge that says yes, all of you guys have the same equipment. I know I know the hardware that it takes to make all that stuff go. So if you try to rewind a motor, and I know I'm probably talking Greek right now.
Yeah, but
if you
the
change the
sailboats
brushes, rewinding, I don't know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why for the first couple of years, I would be happy to come in and do the rules and set courses.
Awesome.
And that doesn't matter if you guys want to get remote controlled toads and race them. I will make a rule set.
The thing is, with one design, it's the same boat, exactly the same sail, it's exactly everything is exactly the same, right? You know, but it was just put it in your locker.
Yeah, I would be happy to do whatever
Yeah.
as far as.
Because you'd be the person that obviously would know the context to supply the same boat. You know, I'm just adding the equation.
Okay, absolutely. I have no
You want
problem.
to touch the car? Want to touch the car? Pick up the car, look at it, it's right there.
We might get you so much business you'll want to open the store back up here.
Maybe.
I would love that. I didn't want the store closed. That was my baby. I built that store, ran that store, ran that store myself. So it was a super burden for the house. I was gonna have to just due to the fact that you can't bring anybody in and put them in this stuff because of check. Start checking questions like you don't have the answer.
Your driver's license and everything.
Sad to see.
I think it'd be perfect for.
No, that's neat.
You wanna see how heavy they are?
I would drop it. I'm a klutz on that.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you guys very much.
Very interesting, and it's a lot to think about.
Hopefully we'll be following up with you.
Thank you. Thank you for a good presentation. Mick, thank you. That was a great idea, the sailboat
Super
thing. Thank you for your idea on the sailboat.
It was very selfish of me.
No, we're not utilizing man-made. I think that's an excellent idea. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Is there anybody else here for the citizens? Of course.
You always forget.
Thanks, Jen. I was gonna.
Hi, good evening. Jen Teller, Harper Drive, Manistee. I I'd like to say second to that proposal. You know, the more things you have that are family-friendly and options for young people today, you know, it's a good thing. So it would be probably just a matter of finding the right location, wherever you might decide to put it. I think, you know, for the amount of money that he said the minimums are, it sounds like something that you could move forward with. When he's talking about the race cars and how the parking for them, you know, Morton Park has the perfect setup. In the original plan that we had for Morton Park, we had the parking lot all laid out. And you probably already realize that if you go right down 3rd Street to the very end there, on the south side of Morton, there is an area there all set up. And all you have to do is get your road gravel in there and some, you know, whatever safety things you would need so people wouldn't go over the edge, because there is a driveway there that goes into the railroad roundhouse down there. And it would just be great, because then once you have Morton Park set up where it's attracting people, you don't want them parking on the street, because there's just not a lot of room there then for the residents. And that parking lot would be perfect. You know, you get everybody off the street. There's no one's going to be upset about, you know, additional people using that park. So with that in mind, the previous Morton Salt city or plant manager had said that they have the equipment, they would do the parking lot. So I'm like, yes, I mean, perhaps we could approach them again and ask if they could do that. I know that they don't want to spend $30,000, you know, for equipment, but they might be able to do that for the city. Or if that doesn't work, there are contractors all around the county that when you ask them for donations for children, you know, for things that are good for kids and families, usually they're like on board. How can we help? What can we do to make this happen for you? So it's going to be a matter of, you know, extending ourselves, going out and asking for people's help to put these things together. I did bring with me tonight, in regards to Morton Park, just a couple samples. Mickey, I'm going to give this one to you. It's for Jeff, so that he has it. Oh, okay. This is this. This is the same, and I'll give it to you again. It shows a couple things that, from Game Time, because I know Jeff wants to use Game Time. So it's the mini whirl. It's a smaller version of what was over at Fifth Avenue Beach, and this is only like $3,400. This is the modern style. This is called the Merry-Go-All. It's a little more expensive. It was earlier in the year at $7,000. Now it's $9,400, and it doesn't seem to be on sale at the moment. And this is where older people can get on this too. The picture in their Game Times manual shows adults riding this thing with kids. The adults are sitting in these chairs, and then the kids are sitting in these lower areas. You sit and you spin the thing, and it's a lot of fun. A couple options for play structures. Unfortunately now, these things were on sale. Now they're not on sale, and the prices have gone up. They've almost doubled. So that waiting has just been an issue, you know, with trying to put this Morton Park thing together.
Jen, are you talking about for phase 2? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I'm just talking about what we need to be, what our committee for Morton Park had put together 5 years ago for that. So whether it's in phase 1 or phase 2, these are structures that are going to attract kids. When kids want to go someplace, usually the parents will follow. So, you know, when you have a park that has some nice things in it, families are going to go there. They're going to use it. But if you only have things that appeal to adults, then it's the same old thing. It's blah. There's nothing there for the kids to do to keep them occupied. So that's why we wanted to get the structures there. This was called Fontana. It was for 2 to 5-year-olds. Originally on sale, it was $10,600. Now that it's not on sale, it's $20,800.
But Phase one has already been approved. I mean, we're already following through with that.
Yeah.
We had that public hearing and what the neighborhood wanted wasn't equipment at this time.
Right.
So,
Well, and it all depends on the money too.
yeah.
Yeah, well, these are just some things that you can be thinking about. You know, you need to be prepared when the money comes in, you know, whether it's phase one or phase two. If the money is there, if you apply for grants from Lowe's and Home Depot and the revenue sharing money that comes to Manistee, that can all go towards equipment for all the parks, not necessarily just Morton. But these kinds of structures, if you, they put them in age ranges from 2 to 5, and then it jumps from 5 to 12. But one of the things that kids have asked for when we have asked when kids are playing down at First Street, what kinds of structures would you like to see? And they always say more slides and monkey bars. That seems to be the big draw. And one of the ones that they really like is the slide that has a 360 twirl to it. And this particular one that they had was 27,000, then it went to 17,000. Guess what it is now? $34,000. It just doubled. Waiting has cost us so much money. So I just want to continue to urge you to move forward quickly on this stuff. I don't know if Jeff has an in with Game Time, but we sure need to be calling them and using these numbers. And I wrote it down here for you so you can see what they were and when, what they are now, and perhaps he can still convince them that we need the sale price. If they want a sale, let's get the sale price back. And if anything, they can be shipped, stored until you have the people to put it together. But, you know, we just need to be getting this stuff done. So I'll just give it to you, Liz, as chairman.
We had approved the 42,000, the proposal that Jeff put together was $42,330 for Morton Park. It was applied, the city had offered 35,000, and so we were short on that initial stage one. Laney applied with the city for a Minger grant, and part of the match, you can tell more on this, was going to be the 35.
35 was a match with the city. We're gonna address other parts at the same time, but we haven't heard back on the Minger grant. So the Minger grant would, if we get it, would include a play structure, but just one play structure.
Okay.
Because there's other things, you know, at other parks that are included in that too. But it's everything, the 42,000 we already approved, that the city gave us the money
That's not
for.
play structures.
Yeah, plus a play structure. So, you know, it's
If we get the
coming.
Minger grant, we could get the place structure. Without the Minger, it is not in that current budget of 42.
Because as you can see, they're
Yeah.
too expensive.
But if we got the Minger, there could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, delaying his costing.
We didn't delay. I mean, it wasn't, we didn't have the money to order it. Because we
And
weren't gonna
it
put
wasn't
the
budgeted.
35. It was
Yeah,
not
the
budgeted.
35 was budgeted.
And it was not what the neighborhood asked at this time. And they may have asked 5 years ago, but now they're not saying equipment. So.
All right.
It'll be nice once it's
Thank you,
done.
though.
And we are, you know,
We can
regardless of the
continue to
grant
add.
or not, there's gonna be shade structures, better picnic tables, a watering fountain,
Most, that's,
grills, finishing the court to. full
Water
court.
service.
Yeah,
I
water
think you said
service.
that. Porta
You know, Fixing
john.
the fence.
so much of that is just city stuff. You know, it shouldn't take up that much of the budget.
It
That's, I guess,
does.
where I'm struggling.
Well, you know yourself how things have increased. And the other bad part is it's hard to get things. The whole delivery system, you know, we had, you know, the city had a heck of a time finishing disc golf just because we couldn't get the basket.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it's out of our hands, and, you know, we had the 35,000 in this year's budget. Nobody knows what we're gonna get for the 23-24 budget. And that's, you know, we're hoping we at least get 35, if not more.
Yeah.
for
I'd like,
some.
the county now has a grant writer that they are paying. So I really think that if someone on the board could approach that person, find out who that is, and ask them to apply to Lowe's and Home Depot, they have fabulous grant money for this type of project. I started one myself when I was on the Parks Commission. And, you know, it can happen. It just has to have people that will take the time to do the grant writing. And we've got a guy. We're
It
paying.
also has to have city approval.
Well, yeah, I mean, but first you got to write it, and then,
No, you can't write the grant till you need to get permission from the city as the very first step, because you're requesting the grant in the city's name.
well, maybe you could go that way then,
Yeah.
you know, because you would think the city would want to improve the parks, you know, as long as they knew what your plan was.
We're involved in 2 grants currently. I mean,
Yeah.
indirectly, one real directly. So Lainey is doing an excellent job. We've got 2
Great.
in the works, so.
So just keep that in mind, that if you want to go that way, ask the city to allow you to use the person you're already paying to write grants in other areas, could go even farther, you know, to provide funds for everything that we need for these parks.
Well, and when you get it's one thing to get the grant, but then somebody has to put it in. And that's another area we struggle in, and hopefully we'll get more help through the budgetary process
Sure.
in the Parks Department. Because we get this Minker grant, Parks Department's gonna have everything they can do putting those purchases together next year.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it's
I
a lot
gotcha.
of equipment, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of things.
And even when, in this 42,000, when we said a shade structure, it's a permanent, it's a nice shade structure, which, that was what some of those people want. They're down there every day. The lady came to the meeting, walked, and
Yeah.
actually Bob picked her up. But she sits there at that picnic table every day. I mean, she, in the hot sun. So that was one of the requests from the neighborhood, and that I think was almost 6,000, but.
Yeah.
For 2 of them.
Okay. Just changing, just for one other couple minutes, at First Street and some of the other parks too, at this point with the disc golf going in the areas that they're going to be walking through wooded areas and grassy areas. And considering the amount of people that smoke just in Manistee County, which is has been documented at 1/3 of the adult population in the county smokes. It's going to be important, I feel, to make our parks smoke, tobacco, vape free, because if they're going through some of these wooded, natural, grassy areas, smoking and tossing cigarette butts is what happens. It can really set us up for some possible fire hazards. Having walked that area quite a bit now and seeing all the grass that's in those areas, I think it might be something worthwhile. Yes,
We actually added that to our park rules and regulations, and I had approached
Wonderful.
Beaton, and she supported doing that, and we have that now, and I think it's posted online, but
that's wonderful to hear. That is just so wonderful here, considering too what we know about the cause of cancer these days. I mean, there's just no reason that we shouldn't be doing that. So thank you for that update.
don't the green signs down at the playgrounds also
I
have a
forgot, so
free?
I'm just putting you on now.
There's usually like one sign.
It's within that green and white sign, isn't it, Mickey? That
Yeah,
There's a lady here came to the board. It's, please don't smoke in this area, young lungs at play.
Right.
And on that front, they had, District Health Department number 10 had,
come up. He needs to be
Have you
here.
on speaker, so.
no,
Can you
fine.
come up?
Um,
I can't hear it on the tape, Mickey, because I've been
That's
trying to
fine.
hear.
No, worries, that's even better. And they give us a whole pile of other signs that they didn't use in other places, and I have them at work. I have about, I'm gonna have to say 10 or 15 more signs with that young lungs at play.
Yeah, having walked the parks continually, it's still an issue. Without the parks being designated smoke-free, and, you know, as you come into the park so you can see it originally, it's very difficult to walk up to somebody and say, hey, did you know this is smoke-free? I said, they don't even get it. But yet there's
It's not
cigarette
an
butts
ordinance, it's not a
everywhere.
law.
I know,
It's
that's
an
why I'm
advisory.
saying.
There's young kids playing here, please don't smoke.
Yeah, that's why it needs to be an
Tell
ordinance.
people not to smoke.
You can. I mean, once you make it an ordinance, our parks and play areas are by ordinance smoke-free, then it is. Then you have something where you can
I don't
approach
think you can
people.
actually do that.
You can approach people and ask them politely, do you realize that this is by ordinance now smoke-free? And then once you have that, people are willing, oh, I didn't know it, you know? But anyway, I thank you for that. it's a good start. So with that, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jen, thanks.
Thank you.
And then you sent an email to me, and we won't read the whole thing, but you were asking about the sound, so we are back here. It is nice to have the meetings around the table, because we can look at each other. It almost seems a more personal meeting, like I can't even see Bob. But anyways, we are doing the best we can, and if we can get the sound so we can see each other. But, so that was one of the requests. Just want to acknowledge that we did receive that.
Yeah, when people speak from the audience though, you can't hear it unless I'm really like almost shouting like I am now. You lose the effect of what the audience is saying unless they're at the podium. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Then moving on, no correspondence. Committee reports. Tim's on our speakerphone here. And did you, anything on the disc golf? Anything new?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Tim?
Yes.
Okay. And Tim Olding here?
Yeah, everything I can tell you about the disc golf is everything I've been reading in the Manistee Advocate, which is pretty bad. So my question on the disc golf, is Jeff there?
Jeff's not here. We have Tom here, Tom Olding.
Okay. I would like to know why the Parks Commission wasn't consulted with the Manistee News Advocate when the disc golf course was completed. It's been a, and I've talked to you about this, Liz, personally. It's like it seems like the Parks Commission has been pretty much excluded from the entire project until basically it was completed. So it was discouraging, to say the least. So, because I thought it should have been more of a joint effort with everybody involved. So, any comment?
Any comment, Tom?
Tim voted me as a spokesman at the Parks Commission meeting many times to talk to the Manistee News Advocate. So I'm not sure what Tim's talking about right now. That was a joint voted on thing that Tim made me the spokesman if we wanted to talk.
I guess, Tom, my problem in listening to you is that what was said in the Manistee Advocate was not coming from the Parks Commission. It should have been, if you were going to make comments, it should have been with a representative of one of us also. And I just don't understand why, for some reason, that was excluded. I don't know who set up the interview with the Manistee News Advocate, but I personally don't just like the way I haven't liked how it's been handled to begin with in the first place. It seems, honestly, there's been very little communication with me, and I'm supposed to be a part of this whole part. It just seems like it got out of control, and then it was just Tom and Jeff. You know, we're just basically running the show, but not a true Parks Commission, which was one of our representatives, which is why I honestly thought that we had formed a committee to begin with in the first place. So,
Tim, I think as the Parks Commission, you come up with the idea, then you present it as an advisor to the Manistee City Council. So the Parks Commission is the advisors to the council. And from that point, you kind of pass that on. And then the council votes on whether the DPW is to construct that project. So it kind of moves from hand to hand. And then as a private citizen that I am, I work with DPW directly. You specifically, Tim, and the Parks Commission voted on to make me a spokesman if the Manistee News Advocate wanted to talk about disc golf. And that's what I've been doing. So I feel for you if you feel left out. That's not my personal intention whatsoever. Anytime the Manistee News Advocate has come to me about disc golf, I make sure that it's a joint project between the Parks Commission, the City Council, and DPW.
Well, it seemed like it was a joint effort between you, the DPW, and maybe the City Council, where the Parks Commission was basically excluded. Wasn't really given many updates as far as what was going on. Anytime I asked to be included on things, I never was. So I'm just telling you, I was displeased with how the whole thing went down, and I don't like the fact that the Parks Commission was not a part of when the project was completed. It should have been from us. So
it's not completed though, Tim. That's the whole point. That's why I'm actually here.
If you read the Manistee News Advocate article, it sure seems like it is. So,
If you actually read the Manistee News article, they contacted me because when that.
yeah, but I think if anything, Tom, you should have come back and said, it's between, it would have been nice being quoted by you and I. So it's like, I disagree with how, I'm just telling you, it's my personal opinion, I disagree with how that was handled. And I'm like, even though you're a liaison with this golf course, and believe me, you've been instrumental in getting it to where it needs to be, I don't believe it was handled as a committee should have handled it from the very beginning to the end. It honestly seems like it was a Tom Oley DPW project, and the Parks Commission was maybe advised once in a while, but it wasn't included like what committee meetings or committee members are supposed to be included. So,
Okay, on both sides, and I'm gonna pick the middle of the road here in a way, because it is not completely done. I do feel sometimes the Parks Commission is not involved in some decision-making, or that we don't know what's going on. But on the other hand, that disc golf course did get done, it's done nicely, and it is usable and looks good.
And I really appreciated Tom's expertise in rolling.
It's good, and it's done, so.
It isn't officially.
But it's
done.
not officially done, there is still, I mean, it's under, yeah, it's been open probably just 2 or 3 weeks, and now we're under 2 feet of snow, so the grand opening will be in the spring.
I gotta say, I feel personally attacked right now by Tim. I came here on, I don't even know what the word is. I came here to kind of inform the Parks Commission of what's going on, because I know you guys want to know. I would want to know. As a private citizen, I don't necessarily have to do that, because I am working directly with DPW now, because that's where it's passed on to. That's the official way it goes. Parks Commission, Council, DPW, I'm working with them.
And we did request that of you.
You requested.
I remember that.
Yeah, you guys requested.
We-
Tim
Yep.
especially made the motion to make me the spokesperson.
I think it's getting out of hand. My whole point was that as being a part of the disc golf committee,
I wish I
we're
could
supposed to
finish.
be a part of that entity. I was included very little in any of the discussions as far as what was being done and what was being accomplished.
Yeah.
Tim, I think
That's-
you need to talk directly to DPW.
I'm not discarding what Tom has done or what part he plays in this. It's the fact that in my opinion, it didn't work the way it's supposed to work.
Okay.
And that's my point.
Tim, and I don't want to cut Tim or Tom off, but I think we need to move on, talk about this, and I do think, let's not make a downer out of what is a positive at this point. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
let's commend that it's done, we've got a park, we've got an 18-hole, it looks nice, and we'll continue it in the spring, and and
I came here to give an update, so if you guys would like an update.
yes, let's have the update, please.
So, the park isn't completely done. We did get the baskets in.
Tom, do you want to come up to the?
Come up to the
Oh,
podium.
sure. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
So Tom Oley, former member of the Parks Commission. Hi, guys. Hi, Tim. I came tonight because I knew you guys probably wanted an update on things, and I've watched the Parks Commission's meetings for the past couple of months, and I know Jeff's tried his best to, keep you up to date on things, but I wanted you guys to have the official word of my perspective on what's happening with that as well. We did get the baskets in. The baskets didn't come initially from the place that we wanted them to come from, Discraft. That was that 5-month wait. And after 5 months, I went back to them and they said, we're still waiting on those. And I was just very displeased. We went with another company called Innova, and we got those baskets within 3 weeks. So we went from maybe going another 5 months to 3 weeks, and we got those baskets in.
Are you happy with those baskets?
Oh, they're amazing. And Jeff has been amazing through this whole process. Jeff and I have butted heads at times, but at the same time, you have to applaud efforts, and Jeff has just been amazing. Mickey's been amazing. Brandon through the DPW has been amazing. Tanner, who built the lighthouse, amazing. It's been one of the best projects I've worked on, and it started with the Parks Commission. It started with us, basically. And it moved on to City Council, and it moved on to DPW, and that's kind of who I've been working with as a private citizen, is DPW.
Thank you. Understand?
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. We got signs made, we got the poles in, so I would say right now the course is probably about 90% done. But once those baskets went in, even though the course isn't done, people saw baskets were in and tee pads were done, and they started playing. Yes. And we built it for families, but what's amazing is it's actually gone the upper level to older. I'm kind of Bob, upper age, 80 plus, 90 plus. It's been crazy. And I know Tim's idea is to have the opening in the spring, and I still think that's a brilliant idea, is we have a little money left over and maybe buy some discs for kids, maybe 200-300 discs, and have an opening, and as the kids come, we give them that one disc to kind of start things. You know, a $5 disc, and those kids can play. And that's originally what we wanted to do, was make it family-oriented, kid-oriented. And if you go online right now, people are already reviewing that course as well, before it's even done. Yeah, it's amazing.
What do they say?
Where do you go online? Like under Manistee, or is it under
So
disc golfs, or?
there's a couple disc golf websites, but there's one that everyone's using right now called udisc.com. And the great thing about that is we'll get a sign made by this company, and we'll put it at the beginning of the course, just like the Armory Youth Project has, just like Red Samaritan Park has, and you can take your phone and you scan that sign, and it brings you right to your scorecard. So we've taken away that old school mentality of paper and pencil scoring, and you do it right on your phone. So you're seeing families play online already. And the great thing about that is they can leave a review of a sentence or two. And the reviews so far have been like, oh my God, this is exactly what the city needs. My kids have played this. My grandfather has played this. My whole family has played this. You know, it's not a professional course you see in Ludington or Traverse City, but it's a family course. This was our idea, and that's exactly how people are seeing it right now. The great thing, which has exceeded my expectations, is the aesthetics about it. It's beautiful down there. It adds something different. We recycled old materials. Is that timorous kid? Yeah. So it's really unique down there, and I've talked to people that live on Harborview Drive, and those are the ones that I thought might be the people that were a little weary of that project, but everyone I've talked to is just amazed by what they see. There's people walking around where people have never walked before, picking up trash. They're lending vibrance to that little park area, which has never been had before. So.
And you utilized all the space. I like the way it goes down to
100%.
And there's restrooms there that are very nice. It's not porta-johns, it's actual.
Yep.
There's a lot of pluses there.
It intertwines with every other activity too. I was down there the other day and some kids were playing soccer on the field, on the actual disc golf field. But one of the things that we're saying is all pedestrians have the right of way at all times. The disc golfers are secondary. And disc golfers get that. So there were some disc golfers playing and kids were playing soccer, and they said, hey guys, we're going to throw, and the kids watched, and the kids wondered what was happening, and they joined in a way. So that's why that course was built. It was built for safety, pedestrian activity, but it meanders through that whole park and kind of gives you the view of everything that's going on down there.
The disc golfers are secondary?
Yes. In a way, it's their park, but and we've seen it already, where if you're walking your dog through that open field, the disc golfers will stop. So that's what I mean by secondary. Pedestrians will always have the right of way. If kids want to play in that open field, then you skip a hole or two. And people are really getting that. They understand the safety of that whole park.
What did you say the website was?
UDisc, the letter U, letter U,
Letter U.
DISC, udisc.com. There's a couple other websites that disc golfers use, but that's the one that's generally been disc golfers are migrating to because it's simple. It's easy to use. You literally can scan the code on the sign, or you type in udisc.com on your phone, and it pops up a scorecard, it pops up the map, it pops up reviews, it pops up who played in the past week. We've been doing that at Red Samaritan Park for the past year, and it's amazing how many people are playing. Even if you don't see somebody, you can go on there and actually see the traffic of people who played.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
What date are you projecting, like an opening?
This is actually why I came tonight, because I knew you guys wanted feedback at some point, and we're still a ways off from opening in the spring. And Tim's idea was to have this opening, which I think is still a brilliant idea. So I think we have to start thinking about that. I have emailed Jeff a couple of times to start asking, what do we have left in the budget? Can we afford some discs to buy for this opening? So I think that's maybe where you'll have to work with Jeff, see what we have left over, buy some discs for kids and families that show up maybe that first day that we officially have that grand opening, and hand them out. Okay?
So thinking like April?
Sure, yeah. I think from Jeff's perspective, and this is just me speaking what maybe Jeff would say, it could be completely different. We still have a bridge to put in. It's a pretty big project. Jeff and DPW recycled an old maritime metal frame to put over the sand gully in the back. And if you go by the dog park, you see that blue frame. That'll be the bridge that connects hole 9 and 10. And I think we want to get that in, and maybe some staining of some of the wood poles. And I think the benches that you guys are ordering too are going to go in, the benches and trash receptacles. Yeah. So I think once we get that in, because the aesthetic looks brilliant now, but I think once you do that, that's just that icing on the cake. So when you get the general public there that haven't had an interest, it'll be.
And the big sign will be done by then, the rules.
Yep.
Regs.
We're going to work on a sign right at the beginning that says, this is what it's about. This is a collaboration between the Parks Commission, the City Council, DPW, you know.
I mean,
I don't,
we could still have snow in April.
I was gonna say, it probably should have to pay.
yeah, and there's people actually playing right now in the snow too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a year-round activity, so you'll see that all year round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and the project did get done. I mean, I think let's not overlook that. That's
We got getting the baskets in was huge.
huge.
And once they got in,
Usable, I guess would be the.
beyond usable.
Done, it's beyond usable, it looks,
Yes.
it's done, looks
Who
good.
put the baskets in? Was it all the Parks Department?
No, actually, it was DPW.
Oh,
It was, DPW guys put them in.
Yep.
I had one of my summer employees helping them with that.
did you help with that too, Tom?
I guided them on like how it should be installed. The only hands-on I personally did is I went and cut some grass. You'll see some lanes of grass between holes, and then also, you know, Bob and Laney, we were out there that year before, 2 years now, I think. Long time ago, cleaning that invasive species out.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, and when you play that hole, like every time I play that hole, it's like, I remember that.
Is it all gone now?
It's gone, but it's, with anything, and you know this on the Parks Commission, it's not about building the project, it's that maintenance.
Yes, it is.
So that's what we got to kind of keep an eye on through. And I think this project, even though it seems like a big project, it's a pretty simple maintenance thing to do. That field gets mowed anyway. You go out there with a weed whacker once every couple months. Traffic and patterns of people playing will naturally keep that in shape. So I think maintenance will be really low.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And for the work on the park.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mickey, thank you for the work on the park. Okay, Douglas First Street Beach, is there anything, Tim, you were on that, is there any forward, or is it?
No, I mean, are you talking about the softball field?
Yes, that's probably
No, we
done
haven't-
for the year.
Nobody's met with anybody on that yet. So I think probably a good time would probably to reconvene on that is sometime around before spring hits,
Okay,
or before they start using it. But I haven't been in contact with anybody on that.
well, they've done progress on that too, looks
Yeah.
good, looks good down there, the city's done it, looks great, the box, the press box and all that. 9th Street Boat Launch, any report on that?
Well, Karen and I, this is more kayak.
Kayaking.
Yeah, because we
Right.
interested in getting a kayak launch someplace. So we've kind of been going different places, and Karen and I did go to Onekama and look at their launch again. And it's, like you said, it's a hike to get your kayak there. The other thing I thought was weird, it's really long. So it's like for a
It's a
sea
lot
kayak.
of work. It's
Yeah, the length of the launch, so that surprised me. And then Karen also has been in contact with a lady who actually bought one of those rental units, set it up, and she's set it up as a money-making endeavor. And Karen had a bunch of questions about it, and the lady responded. She asked about vandalism, and there was, they haven't had any trouble. It's set up like in a local park, and it's solar operated, and it works by credit card, but there is a person who comes in and a couple times a week checks to make sure all the equipment is clean and where it belongs. And, she doesn't, they did it as a money-making thing. She figures it'll take 3 years. That wouldn't be what we'd be shooting for. I don't know, let's see. They've had issues with the card reader. That was one of the points. And she's not sure why, but the company that this lady used, they really like. It sounds, for example, I guess there would be a chance if somebody in the community wanted to do a setup like this, it'd be like when we rent out the concessions. They pay us,
Right.
you know, $1,000 a year to put their kayak launch out, and then it would be their responsibility, which would be really nice, because the burden wouldn't be on the city to so much. But they do really good even during the week, you know, during the summer. And she says, yeah, they're real happy with the kayak business. So, and they also do stand-up boards and canoes. And it's the kayaks and the canoes that get the most interest. So,
Well, thanks.
yeah, Karen asked that I relay that. She, you know, there's more information here, but that's kind of a summary.
The more we can add, I think the better, that we,
But, you know, if somebody was interested, that'd be nice, because a little more research on that, I guess, but. And Karen's gonna be looking at, more kayak launches. I mentioned some that are downstate where she lives, so.
Bob, anything on the tennis courts, anything different, new, have you?
I did talk, some people about the idea of repurposing the tennis courts for the RC track. And there was some interest. That's the only extra thing I could have. The value of it is that there are fences up already and they want to be able to protect the track and people so that they could run the track cars around through, I don't know, you can't cross over one another, but there's a series that they could run it and it would stay in the tennis court space.
Remove the cement at that point.
No, you could just use it, that would be the base. Use the base, the cement would stay.
Okay.
That would be the base. You build up the road with clay and sand and other things. And we have lots of sand right there that always gets on the track, so that'd be usable sand. But I haven't gone very far with it. Anyways, that's the only thing I have to add.
Yeah, keep working on it, because. Okay, grant writing, Laney, anything, update?
Well, I think last month we submitted the Minker grant. But I haven't heard anything back on that, so keep your fingers crossed yet. The other thing is the DNR came out with a new Spark grant, and the entity, the governmental entity, can have up to 3 grants. So on October 28th, I sat through their webinar just to see what was involved. And then I emailed Jeff and Bill Gimbel to let them know, you know, I kind of summarized the grant and I copied Liz. And, you know, because one of the good things, there was no match required. So kind of summarized a few highlights on the grant itself, hoping, you know, we could do this and offering my assistance. And Bill responded, you know, thanks, but they've been meeting with the Salt City Rock and Blues Community Foundation and CVB regarding Spark application for the first phase of the beach amphitheater. So they've already, you know, it being with the county and the community foundation, I imagine the county grant writer, the one they hired, would be the point person. And also, they've already designated where they want the Spark grant to go.
And I think they submitted it, according to Jeff. I think they actually submitted it.
No, that was a different grant. This Spark grant isn't due till December 19th.
He said, under here though, reviewed preliminary score and resubmitted, waiting on final.
Right, but that's a different grant on the North Riverwalk.
Okay.
It's M.
Oh, yes.
It's a totally different grant.
Okay.
We got to keep all straight. So
We're
we
on-
are going after grants.
We're going after, that's 3 then, so
Yeah.
just make sure everybody knows.
So I guess
We
the
are
only
trying.
thing that bothered me to hear about is the amphitheater. The DNR grant, according to the webinar, really focused on recreational things. And this amphitheater sounds cultural to me. I'm not sure it's a good fit, but that's just my opinion. So that surprised me that it was the amphitheater. But I could see with all those groups together, you know, that'd be a nice way to do it. You know, have a lot of input, you know, including the county. So that's all I know.
Okay, thanks for your work on this. I think we're doing, if we applied for 3, I'm very hopeful that we could possibly get at least.
And I should add, Bill did say the next time there's a meeting, they would invite me. So then at least then,
Yes,
maybe I'll be able to make it, maybe I won't, but I'll be invited.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to new business. Karen, you got anything on the presentation
Yes,
from the museum?
during our next, we're not having a December meeting, correct? Did we nix the December
We
meeting?
did nix that, correct, so, yes.
Okay, so at our next meeting in January, on the 19th, Mark Fetter has us on his schedule to come here during our meeting and do a presentation of the history of the Manistee parks.
And we said did we say at 6
At
o'clock?
6.
We got a short meeting at 5:30,
Right.
this, at 6 o'clock.
And he's happy to do it. He's got PowerPoint slides. He's done this before in a public setting, but he's wants to do it again for us, and agrees that we should advertise it in the News Advocate and invite City Council, invite the public, whoever wants to come, and that way it'll
I
be.
wonder how we can make that work.
Let's form, we've got to have a committee.
Right.
Someone needs to, I'll work on that with you. Anybody else want to work on that?
I'm not gonna be around much.
Okay.
You're gone.
Yeah, we should publicize it, we should invite, have a little refreshments maybe, let's make it nice, and let's get people involved. It's a dead of winter, there's nothing to do.
In January.
In January, and the parks aren't really open, so it's a good time to get something active in the parks.
So this is the January meeting?
January
Yes.
19th, during our regular time.
And it takes how long, did you say? It's
He
not
said
sure.
it was 90 minutes up to 2 hours, just depending. I
Yeah,
guess.
so it will be a longer meeting, but it should be interesting, we should put something in the library.
Yeah, the library.
Advertisement.
Advertisement, make a poster or something, just print it off ourselves a little.
Can we have refreshments in this location, in the council chambers? Is that allowed?
I don't see
Well,
why
we'll ask on that, I don't know that.
I don't
I would
think it
think,
Can we have coffee?
just
or
coffee, I mean, we're not talking more than.
Coffee and
Yeah.
not. Easy
donuts?
stuff, so long as you pick it all up.
No wine.
Yeah, no way.
No wine, no, we'll make that, we'll check on that.
But anyway, he's confirmed the date and is
Okay,
excited to do it for us.
January 19th, I think that'd be interesting, and I think thank you, Karen, for meeting with him and getting that all set up. The next thing under new business is the beach concessions, and they'll be out after the holidays for both beaches, and Jeff, I think, wanted to excuse himself from that, and I think we should be involved a little bit in that. It's you know, our 2 biggest parks, our Fifth and First, that we should be involved in the meeting on that. I think they're willing on that. Is there anybody who's interested and would like to be in on that meeting?
Well, I'd like to be on it. I think I mentioned that
I
before.
know.
And I think Tim did too.
Tim, you want to be on the concessions at the beach?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
How can Jeff bow out? That's
Well,
what
I
I'm trying to
think
figure out.
conflict of interest, I think because,
Okay. Oh.
I mean, I think he's bowing out just to,
So then who's gonna do the,
Well, that's supposed to be reviewed by the Parks Commission to begin with in the first place, so I'm not sure how we ever.
but we need to,
I think he was gonna ask Bill or Heather or somebody from City Hall and then
Okay.
Mickey and I think,
okay.
is the plan.
when he says the holidays, it must be after Christmas, it must be in January, but let's work
Yeah,
on that
that's
now.
what I
Let's
did.
make the questions. I could call Bill.
If you could-
We want to make
I
sure
think-
we're on it. Katie, you know that now
We-
too.
Last time, we reviewed the contract. So if you could send us a draft of the contract, whoever's gonna help with it. And then because it said like the rules, basically, what they had to do. And that was, I don't remember doing anything else.
We should get a copy of the current contract and look at that prior to getting together with them and read it. Lainey and Tim, we should get a copy of that for you two to have read prior to
I'll get
getting
that.
together.
Yeah, that was the only.
Yeah, and I think this is an area that was kind of overlooked by our Parks Commission that we need to get back. So we might have to lay out some new ground rules, you know, as far as what we do and what we don't do with this. You know, what our whole responsibility is on this. To be honest with you.
Yes,
So-
I agree. I think so Lainey and Tim will be representing us, and I think let's make sure Katie does know. We'll talk to Bill Gamble and just tell him and get a copy of the contract and update it or make some changes that you feel would be beneficial.
Okay.
Okay, next thing is Parks budget. I think we should know the budget. I don't know that we have any say over it. I'm not saying that, but I think we should be familiar with that. We're always saying we need more money, but we don't know how much we have as a commission. You know, we need more money, we need this, we need that, but do we know how much we have and where it's being spent?
I thought it was zero.
Pardon me?
I thought it was zero.
That's zero, that's probably left. We have zero control, but I think we should be familiar with it.
We have a zero budget too. I don't know if there's a budget line.
I think, no, but there is a little bit for the, I don't know if it's.
Nick's got a, parks budget, but that's not.
Parks Department
It's
has.
not
a
ours,
budget.
but we are the Parks Commission, we should be familiar with that. I just think we should know what's being spent on parks.
Yep, I agree. What's budgeted, what's spent?
Yeah,
I
I
think if
definitely
you
think
know-
we should be familiar, because if we're saying it's short, and if we're trying to request more money, and I just think we should be familiar with it. I think we owe it to the taxpayers to know what we have.
By law, the city has to publish all that. You can
Yes,
go-
it is available online.
Yeah, it's online.
Yes, but I think we should look at it, you know? I have looked at
We
it.
should be familiar with
We
it.
should be familiar with it. I think we should have a little committee and then talk about it a little bit. I think that we
It's kind
should
of
all
weird
know.
setup in my
Sometimes
mind.
that is,
It's
yes.
hard to. I'm an accountant.
Maybe nobody.
It's weird looking.
It's hard to navigate.
Yeah.
It's a little
not-
presentation on what the budget is and what's
What are
budgeted
you
for the
saying?
city.
You don't think we should be familiar with the budget?
No, I'm saying it's already there to see it.
Yes.
So-
So let's just look at it. I mean,
I scan it, and that's
I've
why
looked
I
at
know it's disjointed. That's where I have trouble looking at
Yeah, I think it needs to come
But
across
it's-
more user-friendly.
it.
yeah.
Well, we don't have any control over the city budget,
I know we don't have control over the budget. I think we just need to familiarize ourselves with
but
it.
I've looked at it.
So,
Yeah, I agree with.
does anybody want to work at that? You'd be good, Lainey. I'll look at it with you.
Yeah.
Anybody else interested at all in the budget, Kelly?
I don't know what they
I
get.
mean, I'm not saying, we're not asking to change it even. That's not what, I just
Yeah.
think, just to know.
Okay.
You know, because then we can go to bat and say, hey, compared to Ludington, we're really short compared to whatever. I mean, we should know what we have, you know, before.
Well, and that's the part, because it's not, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time, it's not laid out like
No, it isn't.
personnel, equipment, capital improvements.
No, some of the personnel is divided between.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't, I don't care what personnel costs, but some of those line items, we can look at it and then maybe have some intelligent questions in the future. How's that sound?
That sounds very good. Okay. Yes, that's what I just think. We'll just start. I'm not saying it's a one and done.
Yeah.
Okay, monthly on the Lions Pavilion, there was no receipts this month. We probably are done for the year. Any comment on the Lions Pavilion? I still wish it was available online. I think, and Jen, you had asked that the Adopt-A-Park be a fill in the blank or fill in a PDF fillable report, that you're not handwriting it. And I think, that's what I liked when you said about the disc golf. I think we need to utilize the technology, and I think on this Lions Pavilion, you should be able to rent this from Detroit. And you give your credit card and you just give your information. It should be all available online. And we had thought that that would happen right after it was instigated, and I don't believe it still has happened. So I don't know. How do we proceed on that? I guess just probably.
Well, my question is, Liz, is that a part of your line item when you speak to the commission next week Tuesday? Or is that not a part of?
I hadn't planned on that particular thing. No,
Okay, my
I
thing
can.
is-
I can add it. It's not.
Well, the only reason I would add it is like that the money that, and as directed to the city council, is that our understanding is when we all started this, that the money that was going to be generated from the rental fees was going to go towards improvements of that Lions Pavilion, but we don't have access to any of that. So is it being earmarked for improvements to the Lions Pavilions for future uses? Like, because there's things that we need to do, or is the understanding it just goes into general fund and it's their money to spend? So
There was a little We didn't get a concise answer on that, because we were told it was the general fund.
Yes, we got a
We got-
concise answer on that,
It was general
that it
fund.
goes to the general fund.
And we,
Well, it can go to the general fund, but be earmarked for improvements.
No.
No,
No.
it's not being earmarked.
They can't do that?
well, they can, but we haven't, agreed to that yet, so, yes,
That
that would
hasn't
be a good, yes, it has not happened, but that would be a good thing to bring up, so, yes, okay, agree with that. Memorial chairs,
What about parks inventory?
parks. Oh, the other thing is, yeah, and I know that there are inventories of what's available in each park, this is parks inventory, what's offered in each park, but I think we need to know a little bit more the acreage in each park and what is there, how much of that has to be maintained, and just become, you know, we're saying 180 acres, we need to just narrow that down to each park, and actually who owns each park, because there's a little, you know, someone had said, I didn't know this, that Red Mark is not owned by the city, is that correct?
I'm not sure which is American, no, Martin and Sands. But
Sands is owned, I believe, I know it's owned by the city now.
it's still the Sands family.
No, it isn't, not
It's not.
anymore.
See,
No,
that's-
Sands Park is owned by
you're
the
ahead of
city.
me, so don't ask me.
But Morton's, you're right on Morton's, and I
Yeah.
don't know about Red Mark, so I thought we should
Yeah.
know those things. We
That's
are
a
the
city-
Parks
that's a city
Commission.
park. Red Samaritan is a city.
It's a city park, but I don't know if it's owned by the city. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the 15 I remember on the website. They actually have a listing on the website.
It's on the website, but when you look it up under the taxes, and when you look it in a little bit further, it lists the owner as Sands Products, and it gives
Not
the
Sands
street.
Park.
Not Sands Park,
Right,
Sand
Sands
Products.
yeah.
Right.
And it lists the Muskegon address, and I thought, now we got the disc golf there. You know, I just always, you just kind of want to know. I think that's our responsibility. We don't have any say. I know we're only a recommending board, but it is, the more we know about the parks, the better we are as commissioners.
You can't make decisions not knowing.
No. And we made probably our two you know, we improved Red Mark Park, and now we're improving Morton Parks, two parks we don't own. So not sure. Anyway, so I think we should work on that, if anybody's interested in that. And I'll keep it on there. Memorial chairs, Karen, anything new on that?
I bought one.
Okay.
I don't have anything to do with that, but I did purchase one.
So we're down to 0?
There was one when I.
Good.
Well, I have one.
We have availability for 4 more.
Okay.
And,
Oh, sorry, 2 more because yours and then Mrs. House. So we have 2
Good.
spare chairs right now. And we
And-
just got your flag.
I think we should look at something else that, you know, we have the chairs. I think, you know, the weather now, probably people aren't thinking that way, but they're going to be. We should have a couple people looking around, what are other towns doing as memorials? What else would make a nice memorial? But these people are willing to have memorials, so.
We
what-
had
what
discussed
are-
benches as well.
Pardon me?
We had discussed benches,
Yes.
chairs.
Yes, we have benches and we have chairs, but even like a third offering, because we do need a few more benches. I saw the pads, I can't remember where now, but,
We were talking about benches at the top of the beaches, so people who can't walk through the sand.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, we have 2 offerings, but they're going fast.
You could even, if you looked at the Armory's little disc golf course, they sold their
Yes.
bowls for $500 a piece, which basically bought their baskets and signage. And they got those donated by businesses within a matter of weeks. So if you think about that, we actually have 19 posts across that disc golf course that we could put up actually that similar kind of sponsorship signage. The signs cost $80. You could, get $200, $300, $400 for each of those and put some money back in the park system on them.
That's a good point. Now, and then decide how long do you have it for that?
I think the Armory is full-time. Once you buy it, you buy it. So
For
that-
it's like, it could be 20 years for that 500? I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty,
you can make it however you want,
okay.
Yeah,
I'd probably put a limit on it. I probably wouldn't say, I'd say
6 months.
6 days.
But that option is.
That's a great idea. And then there again, it gets back to where does that money go? I think you'd want to make sure that it either went back into the disc golf or it went back to,
Park system.
yeah, to the parks. Okay, thank you.
$450.
Um,
$450.
let's see. Is there anything else that I?
Anything, so.
Okay, roundtable, anything that needs to be brought up or that should be put on the agenda for another?
I don't have anything.
No? Don't?
I
Hey
had,
Liz, how did your meeting go last week, for your presentation next week?
It went good. We had 4 people there, so it went, was it 4? Yes, it went fine. And we had good input and Karen Patola gave written input, so it went good. I think we'll be okay. And that meeting is next Tuesday, if anyone wants to come. And I apologize ahead, I'm not a public speaker. So.
What do you mean? You do a good
No
job.
way.
Whatever.
What time is it? 7?
It's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock here in this room,
The 22nd.
the 22nd at,
You want us to wear special clothing colors or anything to signify we're with you, or?
yes, wear a suit, please. Suit and tie is what I was thinking. No.
All right, I will.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
So, and then if anybody has any input before then, let me know, and if I forget something, forgive me.
What do you have it down to? How many minutes?
Well, it's going to be, I think they want a little question and answer afterwards. It cannot be longer than 15 minutes, and they do want questions and answers, so I'll leave it with
Cool,
that.
awesome.
So
Look
that's
forward
good.
to it.
during our recent bus tour, I posted something on Manistee Proud about that, and then I asked for comments about what the public thought about our parks right now. And there were a lot of good comments, and I'm not gonna go through all of them as to what people wanna see in our parks, but I'll email you all what the comments were, because they were good. They were very good. And I would like to see all of them in the parks.
Good. So, thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
On the disc golf, we had all the barriers put up for giving more competition, so you just can't shoot the disc straight on. And we had some unevenness in the poles, but now they're all the same. Do we like that? No.
No.
I wonder if we get a pole, at least one pole that's at least out of whack.
I agree with Bob on that I gave it a little bit of a
Character.
artistic kind of look like.
Right.
Too late.
It's too manicured.
I do have something.
Oh.
Karen and I attempted to do Richard Mark disc golf. And there was a young man there who told us about the udisc.com, went through the whole thing, kind of pointed it out, and we weren't very good. So you won't be seeing us soon in the public, but we thought we'll go try it. So we did, and there were people there, and like you said, there was dogs walking, and there was a couple people playing, and then a guy who helped us, so that was nice.
In Red Samaritan Park, you gotta remember that the city put that in about a decade ago, and they didn't really know what they were doing. They had disc golfers come and say, hey, can we get some baskets in? The city put 5 random baskets in. And they did it with such a good heart, but they didn't have, a way to make it the way it should be. And there should have never been a park in that little park. So when we all got together, we tried to make it the best we could.
Yeah.
Got new baskets in there, but that's where you'll actually see the people that play disc golf a little better go, because you can actually throw farther. And it goes through trees.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of came up with the small little family park at Lighthouse, where you see the basket, it's straight ahead of you, you can just throw it straight and you'll be good to go,
Yeah.
So don't feel down that you didn't do good there. So we're making the best that we can out of Red Samaritan Park.
Back to Bob's question, is that possible at this point? I mean, don't cut the other sticks lower to
Are you
make.
talking about the recycled poles?
Yeah.
Yeah, so initially,
We liked them staggered.
Initially, when we designed this, our idea was to actually buy brand new ones that matched the Lighthouse playground to keep that dark aesthetic, that dark wood aesthetic. Jeff came up with the idea of reusing those maritime poles. And we kind of gave the kids that put them in an idea of how they should look. And they did the best they could. The great thing about that is the whole park, for example, if there's something we don't like a basket placement or how that pole looks, we can change that. That's the beauty of that kind of park is we can change a look, we can change a basket placement, we can even change where the tee pad goes. So if there's something aesthetically that's not pleasing, and I'm huge on aesthetics, like a lot of you are as well, we can change
Just a
it.
couple of taller poles.
Well, you know what, initially, what's funny is Jeff and his crew went down there and stuck the poles in, and they were like 20 feet high.
Right.
It looked
That looked cool.
I liked it.
Well, yeah, but it's one of those things, and I was the one like, let's come down to about 6 feet, because if you go to like a professional course, they actually call them mozzarella sticks. It's like the slang term for those.
Oh.
They kind of take the place of trees, but they're usually at like the basket height. We actually went a little higher. If you go way too high, I think it kind of detracts from the whole park aesthetic. Yes, it does for the disc golf park aesthetic, but it kind of takes away from everything else. So you got to kind of find that perfect little balance of things.
Make it flow a little bit like the landscape.
So
We did a couple of them. Yeah, we kind of did like that.
Okay, I guess I
If
haven't.
if you go like the whole 5, it kind of there's a hill, but they're kind of cut to kind of roll on that. I like the idea of like hole 1 where there's three on each side, doing that. And it kind of creates that wave kind of aesthetic that we kind of keep in that park. It's a great idea. But the beauty is we've kept them high enough that we can actually cut them down lower if we want to. And I think come spring too is we stain all those as well as the T signs so they're all congruent with each other. So they all match.
But Liz and myself will come around with a marker to where we
well,
want.
I guess
I knew it was going to be you doing that.
I guess one of my concerns is, do we really want to stain them? Because then it's just more maintenance.
Well, it's one of those things, like we stained the poles at Red Samaritan Park. I stained them about a year and a half ago. Stain lasts forever. If you paint them, painting is the maintenance part. If you stain wood, they're gonna last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You go back again, it takes a couple hours. And
Go
like-
back again.
But
Ever.
it was like Joel was saying with his track. And one of the keys to this is you're getting people involved. You're getting those young disc golfers involved and the people playing, and they're already helping us. They're the ones, not the city, but they are the ones that are actually going to truly maintain the courses through its longevity.
So going back to this, just kind of, we have those posts now. Could we do memorials and have people put things on top of those posts, like, I don't know, statues of some kind?
You can do whatever. Jeff and I had a great conversation about 3 weeks ago, and Jeff has a very artistic mind as well. And with that little native walk that's going down there on First Avenue, or First Street down there, is incorporating art into the disc golf course as well, like putting little things on the poles, by the signs. Grand Rapids had their art prize, and they actually had a art prize disc golf course where a metal worker created these massive sculptures with baskets in them. And it got so many rave reviews, so there's all these things we can do. So we're at a great foundation right now of base level that we can change along the way. It's the beauty of a park like that.
Perfect. Last thing, last year because Tim, you had asked us to make a list of the goals, and I did, and I happened to look at it today. We didn't really discuss it, and I think we should each make a list of goals of like 10 things that we would like to see accomplished. Now, we definitely won't go over it in January because that's going to be a 30-minute meeting prior to the presentation. And I think last year we never really did. We went over Kelly's list that what needs to be done in each park. But I mean, even in a broader perspective, what would your goal be for the Parks Commission? And even if you just keep them yourself, I was amazed how much. I just was relatively new still, and I made that list, and I thought, it's nice to see that some of that was really accomplished. So I thought, take the time, and if you want to email it in or just keep it. But I thought, take the time and make, before the end of the year, a list of goals. So, anything else?
Send me a copy of your list, okay?
Don't cheat on this, Bob.
Would that be goals for the next year? Or
I
just
move we
goals?
adjourn.
Goals for the next year.
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
Okay.
Support?
Support.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Tim. Bye-bye.
Hi, Jen, how are you?
Oh, you're good. Thank you for coming. I didn't think you'd come out tonight, so you did great.
I should be hibernating.